Om Lokaha Samastaha Sukhi no Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and peaceful. Happy Friday. It's Phoenix here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back, those of you that are tuning in for this live stream. Oh, it's been a crazy week, hasn't it? You know, there's a few times in my trading career that it's been this crazy. This one, I'm not gonna say it takes the cake, but it's pretty close. Pretty interesting week in crypto. Um, in stocks too, but mostly crypto. And we're gonna go through. We're gonna take a look at the charts and see what we can see what's being revealed to us. But if you haven't realized it yet, we're definitely being immensely manipulated. There's a very strong push to keep. Oh, that's interesting. It says my stream could not be created. Am I still streaming? Could I get some comments here? Wow, I've never had that happen before. Could I get some comments in the chat to see that you're all actually watching this? Okay. Did it actually tune out for a minute there while I was talking or not? It's a very interesting. I've never had that happen before either. So maybe it was just a glitch, another glitch in the matrix. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Polygon. Hi, Tactical Combat Fitness. Okay, we're gonna try and really break this down, digest what just happened. It's to me, it's a massive trap for retail. You know, I was reading something this morning that 1.5 billion has poured into the stock market since the beginning of the year, and a large majority of that actually went into stocks like Tesla and like growth stocks, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It of course explains the Tesla pump, but you know, you've got to wonder, like, how much longer are they going to keep this prop for before they really crush it down? And we've seen a lot of weakness already in the stock market, but in Bitcoin, Ethereum also showed some pretty strong weakness yesterday. And I thought, hey, this has to be it here. And I'm going to show you what I saw that gave me that indication of some real weakness. But first, I want to talk about my courses. If you haven't checked them out, please do so. There's a lot of information there. I'm going to talk about a lot of concepts in my live streams that I'm just assuming that you already understand. So if you're not sure about a lot of these concepts, you'll learn them very effectively in the courses here. Trade size spreadsheet I use every single day. Small cap superstars, as I mentioned, a lot of these turned into mid caps in the last month. Of course, they'll probably revert back in the coming months. At least that's my expectation. But there's several others here that haven't yet been discovered that will probably pull similar moves in the months and years to come. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. What is going on with Bitcoin? Just look at this. This is pretty wild, isn't it? Massive run up again, back beyond, looked like a swing fail pattern, and then wicked all the way up to 25,215, like almost perfectly up to this level here. Okay, which also, not only is it this key swing high level here, this key resistance level, but also I believe that's close to the 200 weekly moving average. That's the 300 there. Let's take a look and see about the 200. Wicked just above the 200 weekly moving average, that first retest, okay, and initially broke down, okay? So now we're toying with this 200 again, and if it flips above it, it could be bullish for Bitcoin, Ethereum, but could also pull another similar move to what we saw here. Again, this is the first time in history that Bitcoin has really been below the 200 weekly moving average for this long. And of course, it's going to be resistance, at least on the first attempt to back up again. And of course, you could consider this weekly candle one single attempt. But it is pushing back up towards it as we speak, 24,692. And so we have to take a look at this. It's almost like, to me, it seems like the Dixie, the SP, they're kind of out the window when we start looking at what's going on with crypto, because altcoins are absolutely ripping and they're completely irrational. I mean, just completely. It's almost like, feels like we're in an alt season, but we're not. It's like a mini alt season within a rally. And it just sort of, to me, I have to just sort of disconnect from it sometimes and just, this is why I meditate. And admittedly, I've been focusing more on charts than meditating lately, and that's definitely affected me in a not so good way. And I'm going to get back into my meditation and really step away. But we want to be prepared for anything this weekend, because it really could, we could have just a giant nuke that happens out of nowhere. We could have a pump that happens out of nowhere. I mean, from what we've been seeing with the Dixie's bullish. I mean, it came above this diagonal, it broke above this weekly level, and then it actually just came all the way up to this weekly level and initially rejected on the daily. So that's a pretty strong rejection there. But still, this is a bottoming pattern here. This is wanting to push up higher, in my humble opinion. Okay. And meanwhile, we have the S&P 500, which actually just rejected this range yesterday. And then it pushed back up near the end of the day towards the close, but still below. As long as it's below this 409, then I'm considering there to be a much higher probability of more downside for the S&P 500. So stocks sold off overall today. Tesla ended up being up 3%. I think Tesla and some others are kind of making up for a lot of the other ones in the S&P right now. But so stocks are decidedly, it looks like it wants to head down. Now, I could be wrong. It could jump back into the range and we could continue to be range bound for a while. But that doesn't really seem to have any weight on cryptocurrency right now whatsoever, because if it did, then we'd probably be more down in this range here between 22,500 and 24K, which we definitely are not. So what happened here? What is this? I showed a tweet yesterday. I shared a tweet saying this is the FU pattern for Bitcoin. Of course, we had the deviation back in the range. Usually what happens with crypto, at least, is that it shoots back up at least to the top of the previous range here, which it did, and then it shot beyond it. Okay, that's actually typical for cryptocurrency these days when we get deviations like that. But then we had another deviation here, broke down, and this candle right here was really alarming to me. It was a straight Marubozu candle for Bitcoin, and the largest candle that we've seen on the 4H in this entire rally. And I thought, okay, well, this could be it here. And then it continued to show some weakness. There was some bouncing going on, but it was still below this level. And then all of a sudden, 5-minute candle back above. 5-minute candle, literally, if we take a look at this and see, where did it really break out? Well, I guess it wasn't a 5-minute candle, but we had a few, where was that? Now I'm confusing myself with this. It wasn't a 5-minute candle. Okay, we had this 15-minute candle, and then it was sold off, and then it held here as support. So pushing up higher now from here, but there's not really a whole lot that I can say. This is not a tradable place. This is not a place where I'd want to trade it. If anything, I'd be taking a sort of more aggressive short position, which did not work out well for me earlier today. I had to cut several of my shorts. But the reason that I would say, okay, technically speaking, this could nuke really hard, really fast. It could happen, and it could happen while we're all sleeping. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen on Sunday. And even some traders will take a small position here with a much looser stop. So where would that be? That would be probably up somewhere up here. right? So, I mean, you could go as high as, I mean, I wouldn't go this high up past this 29K level. This would be the next level here. If it was to push up past this 25,200, I've said to many of my friends, because they're like, what's going on? What should I do? I'm saying, look, this is the level that I'm paying the closest attention to right now. And I'm perfectly happy sitting and waiting and seeing what happens here. If it can get above here and they can somehow prop it up, which I don't have a whole lot of conviction that they're going to be able to do this, but if they can hold it up here and really get retail back in this to really push it higher, then we're looking at targets somewhere in the middle of this range, which would probably be around just under, well, I'd be looking at probably 26,840, and then eventually up towards 28,760. Okay, and that's the bull scenario here. It's definitely possible, especially with what we've seen so far. It's a possibility that I don't want to discount, but I think that those that are bearish here, that are taking shorts at this level, they also have good reason to do so. But it's just with this sort of price action, it's very screwy. It's very clear that this is manipulation. Like this is incredibly crystal clear that retail is not behind this move. Retail is jumping onto this move, but they're going to be the exit liquidity on the way back down again. That's my humble opinion. I could be completely wrong about that. I could be completely wrong about everything. I had some great trades last week. I gave some of that back this week, unfortunately, during this whole mess here. But I think that Bitcoin is at a critical level here. It's not really a trade for me to take right now. If Bitcoin comes back down below, this is the January high here. This is where I have my alert set. I'm actually going to hide that. This is the January high at 23,950, and that's on this index chart here. And so if it gets back below here, I wouldn't short it right away, but I'd probably look to see if it can break below this level here. And then it's game on. Then it's going to go much lower, in my opinion. And that could happen really quickly. But we're having to really mix up our strategy here and be prepared for anything. And also, you know, set alerts, because it can happen so fast, as we've seen. These 5 or 15-minute candles can really make or break a token. It can either indicate more upside or downside, and you know, it's just, it's not easy to trade this. For a lot of people, I think I would just say, look, just step away, don't even worry about it, because it's too, even for Bitcoin to be this volatile. What does that mean for the altcoins? That means even more insanity for altcoins like Phantom, like Matic. I mean, Matic completely running away, like just complete, like every time I think it's going to come down, you know, I try to anticipate, and that's the problem. That's where I get caught up with trades, is trying to anticipate what's going to happen next instead of just letting the chart do it, letting it do its thing. Go ahead, do your thing. You run as long as you want, Matic, and eventually you're going to come down. And when you do start to come down, I'm going to be right there. Maybe not at the top. I don't want to be at the top. I want to be beneath that pattern, that clear pattern. So if Matic, I said, look, they probably want to, I said this morning, it seems like they have, you know, they have this vendetta to get it above 150, and they did. They drove it above 150. Great, good for you. Okay, so what's the next level here for Matic? Go ahead, continue to drive this up, because the more they bring it up, the harder it's going to eventually fall. And so obviously very clear level right here, 174. Okay, will it get that high? I have no idea. I mean, at this rate, Matic's up 10% today, and probably up 10% yesterday, and I don't know what it did the day before. But we're definitely, we're way outside of this range here. Again, be looking at the January highs on these charts to see, okay, I mean, January high here was 119.50. I mean, that's a little high to be waiting to take a trade there. But for me, if it gets anywhere back inside this range here, I mean, forget about that. Actually, if it starts to continue to push up from here, and then it, you know, and then it starts to come back down again, gets back under here, okay, and an underside test rejection. At this point, I'm just waiting. If it doesn't give an underside test rejection, then I'm just not even going to trade it, because it's just, they're kind of whipsawing around and just stopping everybody out. And I don't even want to get involved with that. For me, I'm actually just really wanting to focus on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe like one or two alts like Optimism. But I lost a lot of money this week trading alts. And of course, I made a lot more last week trading alts, but it's so stressful right now. There's just such thin liquidity. It's such thin liquidity, and it's so easy to manipulate these tokens. Okay. It's so incredibly easy. And that's because there's just not enough money in it yet. Okay. We still only have what, like $1 trillion market cap. We still only have for Bitcoin. What is the market cap for Bitcoin? It's 1.07 trillion is a total market cap. Okay. So altcoins is what? This is without Bitcoin, Ethereum. This is 387 billion. That's like nothing. That's like a drop in the bucket. Okay. So obviously they're going to be able to really push this around and take people's money. And so the whole objective here is to not lose money, to not give your money away to these vicious sharks. Okay. Because they are vicious. They've been vicious, especially these last couple of weeks. And so if you can't really read a chart, you have no idea what, or you're newer to trading, just forget about it. Even for me, like I lost a ton of money this week trading alts. It's just, even though it's very enticing because you see a chart and you see like, wow, it went up so fast, it could go down just as fast. And that's sort of the thinking, right? And like, I was watching Optimism, Phantom really start to pump, and Matic, while Ethereum pretty much stood still, and I was not feeling any stress around that at all because it was closer to my entry for so long. And meanwhile, the other ones are running up near my stops for no apparent reason. And that's just the nature of the beast. Like altcoins, you can make a lot of money really fast, or you can lose a lot of money really fast. But in the long term, I found that I have done the best performance-wise with Ethereum and Bitcoin because they're the most stable over time. So I just want to share that with you all because my whole objective is to help you to not to make money, but B, to help you to not lose money, because of course we can't make money if we're losing more than we're making. And some days, it's going to be better than others. And some days we're going to take heavy losses. I took some losses today that I probably could have avoided if I just stayed out of the trades. But it just seemed to me, of course it seemed in my mind, I thought there's just no way after that big of a sell-off that they're going to do this again. And they did it again. So Max Payne in this scenario is going against the shorts, right? And going against the bears and really, really continuing to drive the price up, even though we saw this 4-hour candle, both for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin, that's a straight Mariposa candle. Usually, and especially it was showing some resistance initially here at this 24K, this January high, but also this range high here, okay? But it never really fully rejected, even though it sort of stumbled around. We had this strong close, but then it was gradually pushing up here. Even this candle here, this 1-hour candle, you see that's a very strong rejection, but then the very next hour pushed all the way back up again. So, it's very confusing price action, even for pro traders. It's not giving clear signals here, and it needs to settle down. It needs to completely settle down and give some more, maybe it takes into next week, but give us some patterns, give us some more candles, because this is not even tradable. This is not even tradable. I can't trade this. I can acknowledge, like, this is beyond me right now, what this price action has done. And it's better for us to sit out and wait than to try to guess what's going to happen next and just get completely chopped up. But I think there's definitely an agenda with this right now. I don't know who's behind it, but I know that it's not, the intentions are not pure, that's for sure. And it's not correlating with what we're seeing in the stock market and with the Dixie. And so just be hyper alert, be aware. And, you know, for me, I'm just scaling in as I go and trying my best. You know, one thing that's really I've got caught up with the last couple of days is averaging down. And of course I planned it that way to scale in, but even just planning to scale in, averaging down is a bad idea. It's something that I'm just going to scratch completely. It's worked for me in the past, but it has not been working the last few days. So I'm going to be averaging in, but as I see it moving in the direction that I want it to move. Right now, I'm not really in a position where I want to take a long with anything, especially not Bitcoin, especially not Ethereum. How high could Ethereum push up here? Ethereum could go all the way up to, let's look at this on the 4H and see. This next level of key resistance here is 1785. And I wouldn't be surprised if it pushed up to there. I also wouldn't be surprised if it didn't and it just got crushed back down. But if Ethereum comes back down beneath this 1675, this is the monthly open, or the January high for Ethereum is 1583. Is that right? Let me just take a look. No, that's not right. That's the open. That's the monthly open. Yeah, the January high is 1675. So if we get back below 1675, even then I'd be wary initially, unless it was a really hard, really strong push back below. And that's why I say be prepared, set an alert up here, because maybe we get a 5-minute candle and it's a very strong red candle, in which case I'd say, well, maybe I would be taking a short here. Maybe not a huge short, but a smaller short, and then adding in once it gets back below the open here, and then seeing how it interacts down at 1500. But otherwise, waiting to see if it can push up again and go even higher up above this 1785, and then see what happens there. See if it deviates back inside. That could be a short trigger. Small size until it gets back below, and then compounding down here, down at 1675. Okay. Or again, the long scenario for Ethereum would be if it really holds above here. So this is the critical level for Ethereum is 1787, 1780, that range there, 1785, 1787, whatever you want to call it. And then it breaks above, and there's your long trigger. And then what are we targeting? Probably up here, it's 1900, maybe just below that, and then maybe just below 2000 for Ethereum. It could do it. It could do it. I mean, but we still have to assume that this is a range. First and foremost, this is a range. This is not a bull market. This is not I mean, we're in an uptrend within a range-bound environment. So you can't really call it a long-term uptrend here. It's been going on for, how long has this been going on for now? A couple of weeks at most. Started in January. I mean, we're 47 days into this, but we've also been range bound for a majority of this time as well. So, I mean, this is a range bound environment here. And until maybe we get a deviation above this, the deviation above these ranges is what I'd be looking for, and seeing what happens when it gets there. But right here, it's not really tradable. So it gets back above, and then it starts to break down, and then we're looking at shorts from the 1785 level. And that's really crystal clear to me. But when it comes to the alts, it's not so clear. That's going to depend on what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing. And so I say forget the alts until we have clarity with Bitcoin and Ethereum, because otherwise you're just going to guess and you're going to lose money. It seemed to me like with Phantom and Optimism, it looks like these are just putting in sort of dead cat bounces, right? On the daily, you see big run up and then spike back up again. Okay, it's going to keep going. It's going to go higher. Well, you can't call this a dead cat bounce unless Bitcoin and Ethereum start to break down here. If they don't, then there's just no telling how much higher they could go, considering what we've seen so far with these altcoins. With Optimism alone, just went up. It went up to almost, what's that, 3.7x for Optimism. And it could come all the way back up to the top of this range here. Okay, this level here, this 317 level. And then if it holds here, I mean, then we're in price discovery again, and it's just pushing higher and higher from there. Or it could come up and then falter and then start to come back down again. But I probably wouldn't even be looking to trade this until it gets back below. So even if it did this, I probably wouldn't even be looking to trade it until I saw it really. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if I'd want to trade this at this point. I'm just that, I'm just really suspicious of all of this. But that actually would look pretty symmetrical, wouldn't it? to see this nice little double top here for optimism. And Phantom, same thing. It's like, what are you doing, Phantom? Like, it had a massive run up for no reason. Like, for no reason. There's no fundamental reason why Phantom pumped like this. But then if you zoom out and just look at this on the weekly, like, what is this really? I mean, look at this. In the grand scheme of things, what did we just see with Phantom? It's just manipulation here. It's like, let's run it up for a while and toy with, with retailers, with the plebs, and take their money. That's basically all it is. That's all you need to know. So, but Phantom could push up back up here again, 60 cents, and then we'll see what it does. And then next resistance for Phantom, if it does show continued strength, take a long, whatever you want to do that's fine. I'm not going to, but looking at 0.61441, this is a supply zone right here for Phantom that I'd be targeting if I was taking a long, somewhere in there. Okay. But then if Phantom breaks down and starts to show some weakness, and then then I'd be looking at, again, look at the range that we've been in look at this range that we're in here. Oh, that's much higher there for Phantom. I mean, it could go higher than that if it clears this, if it's able to clear this, but I don't know that it will. There's just no way to know. There's no way to know here with Phantom. If it starts to show weakness from here, and it is actually the case that this is a lower high, okay, lower low there, then it will start to break down from here, and then it could be a short trigger. But again, it's not even worth bothering with this right now, because it's not clear with Bitcoin, Ethereum. Ethereum is holding around 1700 right now, so still showing some strength. Litecoin, I said it could push all the way up to 106. This was several weeks ago. It hasn't hit that level yet. This is 107 here, this level. But it's not showing that it wants to break down. And as long as Litecoin is still strong, that's going to give a lot of the other alts a whole lot of confidence to continue to push up. So Litecoin, I wouldn't fade this here either, especially after what we just saw here. Maybe, I mean, for those of you that are feeling brave right now, if you want to, if we see weakness here, and then there's targeting the middle of the range here, somewhere around 96.34, and then targeting 89.91, and maybe it's just range bound here. But I have my doubts about Litecoin. And Aptos was actually also gave what looks like sort of a dead cat bounce, right, on the daily chart. They're all making a similar sort of movement here, and they could realistically they could pump at any time, they could dump at any time. Alts will have more permission to run if Ethereum holds around 1700. That's the level that I'd be looking at. But Aptos also looks like it sort of made a lower high here. It did make a lower high on the daily, and so I'd be more inclined to think that if anything, it just pushes back up to this level here, the 1625, and then starts to break down, and that could be a short trigger there. But if we just look at these, look at Bitcoin, Ethereum on the daily right now. I mean, this is we're getting another sort of rejection wick at the, notice what happened here. Notice these wicks here, okay? And they all, usually you get several of these on the daily after a run up, and that sort of preface a run back down again. So that's kind of happening right now with Bitcoin, isn't it? And so that's why, you know, some traders, more swing traders that want to take looser stops could enter here, and maybe invalidation would be somewhere, could be somewhere around 26, 27K even. I mean, to me, that's a little bit of a, you know, that's, of course, at least you have some skin in the game if there's a move that happens here. But that's still, I mean, it's still only like a 9 or 10% stop, right? And then it could, you know, it could go down really hard, really fast. So you've already got a 1R, close to a 1R down at the bottom of this range here. So I don't know. We'll see how this daily candle closes in the next 2 hours. But if, I mean, another wick here, of course, usually we have smaller bodied candles than this, like we saw here. I mean, if you just go back to every time that we saw a big sell-off, well, not every time do we see that kind of a wick, but there's going to be more volatility because there's less liquidity right now. So I don't know if any of this is clear to you. I'm just fleshing out what I'm thinking right now. So you know, I definitely had some pain earlier today. It wasn't too bad, but it was bad enough to where I'm just kind of like, I was sticking to stocks this morning, and stocks did okay. Stocks did what I thought they were going to do, but you're going to have these unexpected movements. Remember that from a technical perspective, we're just playing the probabilities, and you're not necessarily going to, even if there's a really high probability that something's going to happen, it doesn't always happen that way. And so there are anomalies, and this is one of those anomalies. I would say what we saw today was an anomaly. Again, also with Ethereum, we had that 4H candle. If you go back and you look, I like to do this sometimes. I'll try and find a candle that's a similar length. You can even measure the candle. Use this tool here. You can measure it, and then you could take that candle and you could see, well, is there any other 4H candle that was even close to this big? Not that one. That one, no, it was still bigger than that one. And this one also had a rejection wick here. This was almost a 𝐼𝐸 candle on the 4H. And it was also, the thing about it was, it wasn't just anywhere. It was after a deviation above this whole range here. So that is usually a signal that there's going to be more downside. And it just sort of happened to be the case. Of course, it's selling off now. Maybe it gets back inside a second time here. That could be a short trigger, depending on the size of the candle, depending on the time frame that we're looking at. But this was the biggest 4H red candle that we saw this entire rally, okay? It was the biggest one. So that doesn't always mean that it's just going to immediately break through the floor, but it is a sign that there's weakness. And that sign of weakness, it could play out tomorrow. It could play out next week, but it's a sign of weakness. And that's what I want to really point out here. You can see Bitcoin selling off right now too, as we speak. I mean, this could honestly, yeah, I mean, they could honestly just crush it down at any moment. And if you miss it, you miss it. No big deal. It's probably going to bounce at some point. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just go down the way it went up again, the way it went up. Maybe it'll just go completely all the way back down and below. I think when it does correct, then we're looking at 20K minimum. That's what I think. That's my 2 cents. I don't have a magic crystal ball, but when it actually does finally give way, whatever they're propping up, it's just they're gonna completely pull the rug out. And so if this is any sign here, this price action, I mean, again, conservative entries here. I've mentioned this in the C3, conservative entries back below January high, 24K. Watch that, okay? And then see if it stumbles around here and then breaks down, because that would coincide with this here, okay? So then you have some confluence there. But maybe we just chop around for a couple of days. Who knows? But you've got to pick your battles, and you have to know, you know, you have to keep your sanity in all of this. That's the most important thing. So if you need to meditate, step away from the charts, go for a walk, whatever it is. You know, I can't really go outside right now because it's been pouring here for the last 3 weeks, which is actually really a blessing because we needed the rain. But yeah, ETH is setting up a tweezers pattern. Definitely not a good sign, not a bullish sign. But who's paying attention? Not, I mean, the retailers, the, you know, the newer traders in this, they're not really paying attention to this. They're just like, well, look at what it just did. It just ripped all the way back up again. This could crash at any time. This could come down. This is a house of cards here. It's a house of cards. So that's why I'm saying be prepared. Be prepared for anything. And don't be, you know, for me, I'm reminding myself, don't be too aggressive too early on. If you're not completely convinced, if you haven't seen this, if you haven't stalked it for days and seen a really clear pattern trade, then what my rule is, well, just go in a quarter or half size. And then if you're wrong and cut it and just move on. You know, that way you didn't do a full on trade. And for me, as I'm always reminding you, like for me, my risk management entails that my average trade is a 0.5% risk of my entire trading funds. So I'm risking 0.5% of my trading funds, and it's all calculated out with my trading size spreadsheet. If I want to take more risk, I'll do 1%. If I feel really high conviction, I'll do about 2%. But that's a more rare occasion that I'll take a 2% risk on a trade. And I max out at 5% for all of my trades. That's maximum, and that's rare. Most of the time it's 2% total. Okay. And I might take 3 trades that are all 0.5% risk, something like that. So just reminders, like risk management is what's going to keep you from blowing up your account. Risk management is more important. It's the most important strategy that you can have. It's, you know, I wish that I had knew it better when I started out as a trader. And so could dollar cost average here if you want to. Phantom dropped. Did it deserve to drop that far? I mean, I don't know. The market dictates how, you know, the market's dictating all these things. And the market is, as we've seen, is not really rational. Phantom could push as high as it wants to. It's a nice little smiley face here. Phantom could continue to push up. I don't really care anymore. I'm kind of like, I thought up, now it's crossing some, setting off one of my alerts already. Look at this. It's just, it really is all over the place. I mean, it really is all over the place. Now it's breaking down. Oh, this is great. This is funny. Okay, so here we go, right? I mean, be ready. Be ready, because now we're seeing some 15-minute candles that this one in particular doesn't look good. Doesn't look stable. It looks like some Jenga blocks that are about to fall over. Pull the wrong block and that's it. It's, yeah, but this is the level to watch here. This 1650. I mean, once it's back below here, 1675, then we're kind of on alert. But then it starts to really break through the 1650. There's your short trigger, but not like kind of these tiny little candles and this little chop around here. That's not going to give a trigger. You need a clean break below, a strong break, a strong candle, maybe bigger than this one here, without a big wick on it. And then that's when you know that it's time. And so, and of course, again, I might only enter in a 0.5% risk on a trade like this, knowing what we've just seen here with given the context. Because even if that happens, still not a huge conviction, just because just a suspicion of, well, maybe they just run it up again. And it's like they could continue to do this for as long as they want to. They've proven that to us. Bitcoin just dropped since I started the stream, Bitcoin has dropped down, and it's doing it now. It is going down. It's dropped 3.5%. Are you kidding me? 3.5%. Well, that's not since I started the stream, but in the last 2.5 hours, Now it's dropping. Okay, so maybe we stay on stream for a little bit and maybe we have an opportunity to trade this here and it'll actually just dump into the weekend. That would be something, wouldn't it? And let's see how Matic is doing now. Let's see what Matic is doing. I said they wanted to push it to 150 before they crushed it down, and sure enough they did, and now they're bringing it back inside. But would you, okay, should I be trading Matic right now? No, because there's no indication, even if it really just falls through the floor here. That's great. Well, that's a sign of weakness. Then it'll bounce again, and then it'll probably come back down, and then it'll start to show some weakness, and then maybe there's your short trigger there because we're back inside this massive range here. But where it sits right now, I mean, you're just kind of playing the lotto. You're just kind of playing the lotto. So, and there's more important things to focus on, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So let's have a look at this and see what's going to happen, if it's going to actually do something here in the next 15 minutes or so. So how would a token be manipulated? They manipulate the price. On thin liquidity, it's easy to buy and sell large amounts and actually move the candles. So that creates sort of whipsaws. This is ridiculous. I can't believe they're doing this. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, let's just see what happens, because maybe it happens while I'm live. That's actually happened a few times already, so I wouldn't be surprised. But we've already reviewed the game plan here. The game plan is either wait for it to push up above this 25,200, or it hovers in this range here, and this is like be on alert here between this 24,265 and 23,961. Be on alert, and if it breaks back below January high, that's it, game over. If it actually breaks back below, but even then, wait for it to clear or start to show some real weakness moving into this level here, this 23,625. Aggressive shorts can enter now with an invalidation above 25,400, 25,500. As a matter of fact, I might just do that. But actually, then you have to look at, okay, so for me, I'm looking at where is Ethereum relative to Bitcoin, this ETH BTC chart. Let's see where it is. We're sort of at the mid. And as I've been saying, I've been expecting for Ethereum to really break down and relative to Bitcoin, and it hasn't done that yet. It's been hovering at the mid. But I think that if Bitcoin really sells off here, Ethereum is going to sell off a lot more. And I've been saying that over and over again. It hasn't, well, it has happened before, but we're getting ready. It's gearing up for it, it looks like, on this chart. It looks like it wants to break back down to this level here. This is a monthly level, and then potentially come all the way down to this 2022 low here. So I'm more interested in Ethereum than Bitcoin. Both charts for me are equally easy to read. A strong rejection wick here, so it's either going to push up 1795 or it's going to break down from here. Anything back below the 1675 is potentially fair game for Ethereum, but to be conservative, waiting for the breakdown below here, the 1650 level here, 1655, whatever you want to call it, starts to really break down from here, then we've got our short trigger. Or maybe it just hovers here for a while and just continues to chop around and form a range in between the 1655 and 1725. You could do that. So, but kind of interesting to see, because stocks had a little bit of a recovery headed into the close, and now crypto is suddenly dumping again. So yesterday's candle was very telling. This 4H candle could be very telling. 2 hours left in this candle. If it closes at this level here, if it closes here around 24K, that's definitely not bullish. I would definitely not consider that bullish. And I might take a trade here with the invalidation above 25,500 for Bitcoin and above, maybe even just go much higher go above 1,800 for Ethereum. I mean, I have to look at the stops here, or it could be above this level here, 1,750. I mean, it's a 7% stop here. If you were to take an aggressive trade here, or more aggressive traders would be somewhere above here. So about 4.25% trade, 4.25% stop loss, and then targeting down maybe this level here, the open here. That's also coincides with the mid of this range. It's 1585, and then there's 1495. And those are minimum targets for Ethereum if it really breaks down to this range. And also we have more evidence if it does break down. This is kind of, this is a double top here, lower high, double top. After this Marubozu. So we've got, the deviation back inside, likely headed all the way down to 1495 again at minimum. And then if it does that, it will at least come down to 1400, maybe come all the way down. I mean, it could go much lower from there, because there's just been so much buildup, and so yeah, it just feels like that's gonna happen. But of course, I mean, it could come all the way back down, deviate again, and then continue back up, and then you never know what's gonna happen here. You just don't know. And also, for as long as the SPY, I mean, as far as like ES is concerned, it looked like it went back into the range here, like this range here. It's almost coming back inside the range again. And so SPY could just be range bound for another couple of weeks. Who knows? It could be range bound. If SPY stays range bound, then stocks are going to continue to be kind of up and down. And then Bitcoin, Ethereum will be up and down. And so that's why I said this is a trader's market. And I think snatching profits is a good idea along the way. It's always a good idea, but now it seems more than ever the case, because it can round trip very quickly. I know there's probably a lot of longs right now that are needing to start covering their positions. Oh, but see, now what do we see here? 20 minutes in. Okay, it's trying to push back up again. Okay, so this could be potentially a sign of more upside. Again, another push up. Okay, so we'll see how this candle closes, but if it closes anything like this, then forget the breakdown. It's not going to happen right away. Okay, it's probably going to push up again, maybe push up higher next time. So this is not an easy environment to be trading in. Bull markets are usually easier, usually more predictable. It's pretty much up only. But yeah, so let's see. Am I still streaming? I think I'm streaming. If I'm not sure what's going to happen next, I don't trade. It's that simple. I don't know what's going to happen next, so I'm not going to trade. This is wild. Go ahead and do your thing, like it's you've got to reveal yourself, and I'm going to be patient. I'm going to get to know you a little better, Ethereum, and figure out what the hell you're trying to show me. Because right now it's just not really anything clear. So this could be, I mean, this looks to me like one massive redistribution. That's what it looks like to me. But the redistribution doesn't have to be like, this doesn't have to be the final upthrust. There could be another one. But it's still, the bulk of the price action has been within this range here. And the same thing for Bitcoin. The bulk of the price action has been within this range here with 2 deviations. And this is just wild here. It's a roller coaster. This is roller coaster price action. It's not tradable. As long as this is going on, then the alts are just, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch, but it's, cash is always a position, right? Cash is always a position. I have that mantra. I remind myself it's a position. I'm preserving my capital. You don't always need to be making money, especially if there's a high probability that it's going to swing against you, which these alts, they're swinging in some hours 3, 5, 7% in an hour. I mean, that's just not that's not healthy unless you've got a loose stop 10-15%, something like that or more. And it's just to me, I feel like I age quicker the more I trade the alts. So I just, if I'll know when I know all the alts are really going to fall, then I'll go pretty heavy into the alts, all the alts at once. But I don't have any clarity around this right now. I'll know because I'll know it'll be very clear to me what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing. It's not clear there. So if you don't have clarity with Bitcoin and Ethereum, forget about the alts. Just ignore them, put them aside. Don't be tempted to trade them, especially on the weekends. Because we could have, what we'll likely see if it holds here is you'll see them start to pop off and then they'll kind of fizzle out and maybe go the other way. Or maybe, who knows, maybe they'll keep going. But usually it sort of starts to go one way and then ends up kind of round tripping on the weekends. Let's see how this candle closes. At first, I was more on the bearish side. Now I'm saying, well, it rejected on the retest of this range low. So maybe it pushes up from here. I'm not willing to take a long here. I don't want to take a long. I don't care what it's done the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me at all. I'm not willing to take a long either way, but I'm willing to sit back and let it run as high as it wants to. And I think that actually it would be a better opportunity for short sellers if Bitcoin or if Ethereum came up to 1785 and deviated back inside, and if Bitcoin deviated back above 25 to 250, okay, got up to maybe 25,500, maybe starts to falter around up there. But there's no telling what could happen next. So I think I've said all that I need to say today. And yeah, Ethereum, well, no, altcoins did run up more than Ethereum today. I mean, a lot of them did. The ones that I'm looking at did 6, 7, 10%, some of them. And Ethereum's up 3% so far today. Bitcoin's actually up more than Ethereum today. It's 3.5%. Yeah, so I think I've said everything that I need to say, and I hope that you all found this helpful, that you got some good information out of it. I'm looking at, again, the key levels. I'll say it one more time: 25,200-ish for Bitcoin, and then 1785 for Ethereum if it gets there, or 1675 if it starts to really break below. So to me, I'm just setting my alerts, and then I'm just going to do my best to not even look at the charts all weekend unless I see something from Bitcoin, Ethereum. I don't even care what the alts are doing. I'm just going to ignore them. I don't have the mental bandwidth for it. I spent the last 2 weeks trading, and I don't care. I need to take a break. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully, God willing, see you on Monday. Thank you all. Have a beautiful day.